Up for Dan once again. All righty. Yes. So just to show, before we get started, just a quick survey. Was there anything that for everyone that is paying to be here, was there anything that you wish we would have spent more time or dug deeper in that hasn't been covered yet in any of the previous presentations that you guys have seen, or is it just perfect, completely? More house stuff? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's been great. I mean, you can't cover it all. Like, it's too much. Blending, basses,
Some more mixing, blending stuff?
like bass specifically.
Okay, cool. Anything else? I'm just curious, just so I can see if I can sneak some of that stuff into the things I was planning on covering. But, all right, I'm taking some notes here. So I'm going to try to incorporate some of that stuff into the things I planned on covering for today. All right, cool. So the first thing I'm going to demonstrate is a really crazy new feature and option that's in Ableton that actually changes the way stuff sounds, and it will have like an impact on your mix. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to play, this is like a bootleg remix me and my friend is working on, and I'm going to play it, I'm going to make an adjustment, and I'm going to play it again, and I want to see if you guys can hear like what changed about it. All right? So here's the first kind of example test. All right, cool. So just remember, keep that in your head, exactly what that sounds like. I'm going to make the change, and I wanted to see if you guys can figure out what's different about it. All right, so who heard what was different? Anyone? Yes. I might be wrong, but didn't you change some of the notes in the bells build up? Okay, let's keep that in mind. Who else heard something different?
Did the house beat change the second time around?
House beat mix. We got a note mix up. We got a beat change up. So I'm going to rewind. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to put everything back to what I changed, just so you can see exactly what I did. I'm going to reverse engineer it. So the last thing I did was I flipped it to the session view. I also zoomed in on the interface. I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to my settings now, which this is the important part. And I switched it from the default theme to Angst Robot. Okay? You kind of see where I'm going with this? So nothing sonically. It was nothing, all I did was to change simply the way the screen looked. And I told you it was going to be different. And so all that stuff, like different drums, different vocals, like different effects, it was all completely in your head. So I've been big into this lately, just like the psychology of like how you're approaching making your music and actually listening with your ears and not with your eyes. Like one whenever like I'm working on a mix and I want to like really focus on making a change and like listening to if it objectively sounds better, the biggest thing that I do is I like I straight up just minimize the screen completely and then play it. And now it's like there's no visual to and like so like if visual stuff is on, it's gonna change the way your music sounds. And just like, and I think that's a big mistake. You can get really lost in the minutia of like changing things or the placebo effect of changing things and thinking, is it actually making your music better or different? Sometimes you got to minimize and take a step back. So that was like kind of lesson one for today. Make sure you're actually listening and not looking, because your eyes will fool your ears, or your eyes will actually make the music sound different when it's actually not. So that's lesson one for today. All right. So what I wanted to share are some cool new tips, tricks, and tools and stuff that I've implemented into my studio productions, and stuff that I've kind of borrowed from diving into the world of live performance with modular synthesizers, and also using the Ableton Push 3 as a live performance tool. So just to kind of demonstrate with what my live PA setup looks like, just to show you kind of how it all got started and kind of where I'm at today. The first like modular synth tool that I got was this little thing called the Korg Little Bits synth kit, and it's just what it is. It's like a Lego style miniature modular synthesizer. It's just like you get like these 8 pieces, and there's little magnets, snap them together, and you can wire an oscillator to an envelope to a filter. And and just like the amount of variety you can get out of this cheapest, like almost toy, it is kind of a toy modular synth kit. It's like it really was inspiring to me. So this is just the Korg K oscillator doing the drums, and all the sounds were just from the Little Bits modular kit. So this really like gave me like my first taste of the modular synth world, and I had that thing for a long time. Like, well, if I just had like I was very hesitant on diving into the actual modular world because it's exponentially a lot more expensive and addicting and time consuming and obsessive and all that stuff. So, but anyways, this is kind of where the obsession started. So eventually I started like buying actual modular synth modules. This is like a photo/video of like my most recent live performance case, connected to the Zone 96 mixer, and then connected to the Push 3 standalone as my main sequencer and effects processor. And this has grown to more modules, different cases. This is like a clip from a setup for a show we did in Dayton, Ohio a couple weeks ago. And then that leads to like building things up like this. So this is like one of the versions of the live show, which I've since simplified. You can kind of see like all the stuff that you can get as crazy or as simple as just that little kit as you want. So like here's just like a taste of what it sounds like. So that's like me jamming out in the studio with an early version of the case, and that leads to like playing shows and doing stuff live techno with the modular. So like that whole journey, like to get from just that little synth kit to all that equipment, and like being able to do entire shows where I show up with no music planned or programmed. It's all improvised, created on the spot. It forces you to rethink the way that you kind of think about music in general, or think about putting music together. And in the modular hardware world, things they can be a lot more expensive or a lot more difficult to implement. Let's just say you want to have a compressor on every track. You can't just copy and paste as many compressors. You need to actually buy a physical compressor and wire it in the chain, right? Or if you want more than one reverb, you have to buy a separate reverb module. And if you've ever priced out modular synth modules, there aren't really any cheap ones that are good. You know, they go anywhere from maybe $100 on this absolute worst, cheapest end up to $1,000 for just a little reverb. So really, like, it forces you to rethink and kind of really appreciate the tools that are already inside of Ableton, which allows you to actually recreate everything you can do on the modular with tools you already have without spending thousands of dollars. Question?
I'm glad you let it in like that. So I'm just glad that you're talking performance. The idea of showing up without music is super intriguing to me. So I'm glad you're picking this up. But like, why all the gear? I mean, it looks super fun. Don't get me wrong, and like each their own. But it does true analog modular gear sound better than what you can get out of Ableton?
So I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's different, and I think that it's not. So when it comes to me, my philosophy, like on my modular performance setup system right now, which I've refined down to, it's most like the most recent version looks like this. Let's see. It's actually like this case right here with slightly different modules in it right now. This case, one DJ mixer and the push 3. So
Okay.
I've simplified like a lot of this equipment down to just those 3 main things, which is still, it's not like a small amount of equipment, but it's a lot less than all this stuff that you see on this version of the live setup. So
I gotta ask, how much does it weigh? How long does it take to set up?
So with the more separate things that are not connected in the modular case, it takes longer to set up because there's more things that you have to like plug in for power. Just like if I bring a drum machine, I have to plug it in, then I have to route the audio for it, and I also have to route the MIDI for it. That same drum machine, if I can fit it in the modular case, power is already in, I can already patch the audio in, it's already kind of wired up in one neat little package with a bunch of other things, so it makes it more portable. The more portable it is, the more shows you can do. The more shows you do, the better it gets at it. If it's too cumbersome to set up, it becomes really difficult to actually do a lot of shows. And you have to do a lot of shows to actually get better and get good at it, or practice a lot in the studio. So anyway, so like, what are some things that like you could take that you would spend a lot of money or a lot of time for in the modular world that that you can do for free just using tools in Ableton from scratch? So let's take a look at some of them. So I'm going to start with a blank slate. This is what my default template looks like, and it looks like this. The only thing that's like, there's 2 things different from the stock template. One is I have my Clarity plugin, which interfaces in my studio with it's a little display screen, and one I have the default Q volume is at 0 instead of -6. I like to always start with a blank slate whenever I'm doing anything in Ableton. I find that the templates kind of slow me down because it's rare that I need to do exactly this, the exact same set of tools every time. So, let's say we want to synthesize a bass drum. Like if we're doing any kind of house and techno stuff, like the bass drum, or most EDM, I guess in general, the kick drum is the foundation that everything else is built on. And in my modular synth case, like I have like a module called the Mutant Kick by Erica Synths at Hex Inverter. It's like a $250 kick drum synthesizer, but you can get almost the exact same sound out of that using Ableton's DS kick. Who here has used the Ableton Drum Synths modules, right? Yeah, so we can, let's just say, I'll just go in, drop this in, let's get a loop started with it. You can hear what that sounds like. So now what I could do is I can make it longer, I could tune it up, tune it down, give it some saturation. I go hard style real fast, or I can keep it really tame and you kind of tone it back. And the killer combination is any of these DS drums plus the drum bus. These 2 together, it's just like instant drum magic, right? And so what I did was I made my own rack that it's just a combination of the DS kick and a drum bus in one. Okay, DS kick. I made some macro variations of it, so I could have, this is the default, and there's more of a longer, and some instant ones. So now The cool thing is when you group things into a rack like this and then take all the fundamental parameters, let's say I want some more variation, right? All I need to do is hit the randomize button. This is one of my favorite new features that got added to racks is the ability to randomize the macro knob. So if I want to hear a different kick, boom, I could just click it. And we have endless possibilities here. Just keep tapping away. When you find the right one you're looking for, we can save it as a macro variation, save it for later, and keep going, right? So it's a super powerful way to get your own drums going. The kick is really good. The hi-hat is really good. Let's just get like a hat going. The DS hi-hat, I think I have my own preset rack for this. We can drop them in a drum rack, or just keep it on separate tracks. So this one, there's more parameters, but let's see if we can get like a cool hi-hat going. So boom, and let's hear ours, and let's randomize it. There we go. So now we have some variation. So just the ability to synthesize your own drum sounds, it's super easy and super powerful. Now you can make a hi-hat with almost any synthesizer, whether it's really easy to do in Serum or Operator or Analog. But these drum synths really speed up the process, and it really gives you a lot of quick hands-on flexibility. So another, if we're trying to take a hi-hat pattern like this and make it more interesting, another big takeaway that from diving into the whole modular black hole is one thing that I think there's things that are really easy to do in the modular world that are hard inside the DAW, and then vice versa. So one thing that's really easy and often encouraged to do in the modular world is modulation. So we can grab an LFO or something like a pitch voltage and use that to make things move and kind of come alive. And you could do the same stuff in Ableton using all of our modulators, but I feel like it just often gets slept on. It's like if I have a hi-hat, it sounds interesting. I said, but what is it going to sound like if I put an LFO on the decay of that hi-hat? So let's take and map this to the decay. If we don't do anything, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. That's not even terrible with just the default settings, but if we sync this up and let's change the shape of the LFO, let's maybe try going, I don't know, down, and let's make it faster. Now we get some counter rhythms happening inside that singular straight kind of hi-hat groove going. So that just instantly gives us a little bit more flavor for that. And it's a completely synthesized sound that we made from scratch. No one else has this exact hi-hat. It's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely, right? Cool. So the drum synths are really powerful. Let's talk about let's build on this a little bit more. I'm just going to get a clap going. Let's try the DS clap while we're at it. And I think I made my own clap generator preset thing. And let's just get a clap on our 2s and 4s right here. And let's hear all those sounds. And let's bump up our BPM. Let's get a little bit more techno going tonight. It's getting late. The sun's down, so we can bump up the tempo just a little bit more, And this is my default start for the clap. So we have a foundation of a groove start. So let's talk about adding on to this. So some other things I wanted to dive into today is utilizing a lot of these brand new MIDI generative tools. So who here is on Live 12? I'm assuming everyone's on 12, right? And for everyone that's in Live 12, are you guys taking full advantage or spending time in the MIDI generative tools or transformative tools? Sort of, yeah. So those of you who have used the MIDI generative tools, which ones of them have you been using? Seed. So let's talk Seed. So this Seed is one of my favorite ones. So let's say we have the basic, we have the meat and potato drums there, but we want to make a cool percussion loop of something that's going to go on top of this to make it really interesting and unique, something that no one's ever heard before, something that we're not just ripping out of a sample pack. And there's some fun things you can do with Seed and additional new features in the live browser. So I'm going to start out with just an empty drum rack. Boom, boom. And let's drop that on. And a fun way to kind of like make percussion loops or just loops in general is what I'll do is I'll just grab like a random word. So somebody say something random. Chicken. Let's see what happens with chicken. There's all right, so we got some chicken stuff in here. I'm gonna narrow these results down by just let's see, let's sort these by size. All right, so this could work as a percussion. These could work as a percussion. These I think are one shots. Yeah, all these are random. And I notice I sorted by BPM just so I can kind of separate the one shots from the loops from other stuff. So what I did, now I have a whole bunch of random samples that just happen to have chicken in the title for them. They might or might not make sense, but that's okay. The more random, the better. I'm going to take and let's go and make a new MIDI clip. I'm going to make this a 2-bar loop to make it a little bit more interesting. And now you can see all of all the chicken samples over here, right? It's kind of crazy. So the first thing I'm going to do is set these all in the same choke group. Yeah, so first thing, step one, choke the chickens. All right. So we're going to choke our chickens. That couldn't have worked out better. I can send them to choke group number 1. So what does a choke group do, right? When you play one sound, what does it do?
It's like when you have like a live drum kit, you can't play like 2 different percussive instruments at the same time. So basically, when you play like a hi-hat, it won't play like a closed hat.
Right, because you can only play it open or closed at the same time. So we did it as I choked all of these chickens. So if I play one, it's going to automatically mute another one, so they're not stepping on top of each other. Especially because some of these are bass, some of them are longer. And that stuff's important, otherwise the loop gets really messy. So now let's go over here to our MIDI generative tools, and what I'm going to do is select seed. All right, so what seed does is it just spits in a whole bunch of notes in our clip at random. We can choose like where it's starting, how many voices, the amount of density, and I'm going to keep the voices down, and let's change I'm going to limit the duration to 16th notes, and it's going to start on chicken. Let's see. Yeah, here is the range for all notes, and let's hit generate. So let's just hear what that sounds like. Sounds kind of chickeny, right? It's not terrible. Let's try it again. Try it one more time. Cool. So we got some action going. All right. So that gives us some type of rhythmic foundation. Maybe we don't want to put we don't want all the low end in there. Maybe we want to keep this like mids and highs. Another tip is it's a good idea to build your own audio effect rack. So another takeaway that really one thing that's helped my studio productions that I've stolen from live is like using my own performance racks that I've built. So on the Push 3, I have a series of racks that I've built that are constantly changing, and what they have is just a bunch of my kind of quick and handy audio effects. Anything that I might need, that I might want to do in a performance situation, like filter, reverb, distortion, delay, transgating, and stuff like that. I put them all into one of my own custom racks. So I'm just going to start by high passing it. Let's put a little easy wash. You guys all know about the bass clef easy wash rack. I Probably the most badass free audio effect rack preset ever made. I have a little side chain in here. I also have a pitch shifter. Give it a little. Let's go back. Let's try going back to the pitch. All right, cool. So that's, you kind of see where we're going with this. So the first, we have like a percussion groove going. It's maybe not the best chicken loop I've ever heard, but we can. It's a good starting place. So let's take a look at some of the other MIDI generative tools that we have in our arsenal. So now that we have some drums, let's try to get some bass going. So I'm just going to grab a wavetable, and this can work with. We could do this with any synth. So I'm just going to kind of make a plucked bass really fast. Let's see. Let's go here. We're going to grab our envelope and assign that to our filter. Pull our filter down just to get it pluck in a little bit. And we'll maybe drop this down. All right, cool. So not only does like the seed work well for generating rhythms, we kind of use it to generate a loop random. It's fun to use some of these other tools to kind of just give us like starting point rhythms. So a really simple one that it might not be intuitive to use for things like basses or melodies is the rhythm generator. So what I'm going to do is like, let's find a nice octave like F0. So as soon as I click on F0, that automatically sets where this rhythm is going to be generated. So if I just hit generate and don't do anything, it gives me the most boring bass line ever, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, sounds like this. Not super fun, exciting, or useful, right? But as soon as we go in and start changing the steps, the pattern, the density, the duration, let's go like 16th notes. And there we go. There we go. Now we have a bass line, right? It just made it for us. Like, we didn't need to go to Suno to synthesize it. We let the rhythm generator make it for us, right? As a quick side note, one thing I wanted to share, I think that Suno it's insane, like what you could do with it. Like, I was pretty blown away that like being able to just add individual stems is crazy. There's a free VST plugin called Text to Sample made by SampleLab. I'm pretty sure it's completely free and it works on a Mac. It's a VST3 format, but what this is, it's like a really bad AI sample generator, but it's bad in all the right ways. So, and I think it's a lot more fun to use these kind of like really shitty AI tools, but like in an aggressive or interesting way. So this plugin, it runs locally on your computer, and you can see there's like a bunch of stuff that I've generated with this. It's like sometimes it understands like what you're prompting it to create, and sometimes it doesn't. Regardless of, it's always like really weird and interesting, the things that it generates. Just an example. So like, let's say I want to add something else on top of this beat that we got started. Like let's prompt something. These are some things I did in the past just to give you an idea of what this thing sounds like. This was an evil atmosphere. Sounds like it's straight out of hell, right? Right, so let's try. Who could give you like the most random? We did chickens already. Something maybe that's not poultry related.
Elephants stampeding.
That's a good one. Elephant stampeding drum loop or something like that. And we can make this like up to 20 seconds long. But I'm only gonna do let's go like 8 seconds, plenty of time. And this is locally gonna spit out like a random sample. It might understand it, it might not. I don't know. We're about to find out, right? Regardless, it's going to be weird and interesting, and I think that's the best kind of the AI tool stuff, the ones that take you to places you didn't know you wanted to go.
Does it stay in tempo with the...
Not at all. There's no BPM. You can't, like, I think I've tried to put specific BPMs. It's like, that's way beyond its understanding.
Elephants don't play like that.
Does it sound like an elephant stamp? Not at all, but is it cool? Yes. All right, so now we can take this and just drag it over here. Because it's not, because it didn't factor in the session BPM or any of that at all, we just have to manually warp it. So let's see if we can find our one count in this and just turn this into a loop. So Ableton kind of found like our backbeat a little bit. Let's see if we can take like just like one bar of this. And let's hear it with our drum. Yeah, it kind of gives you an idea. Let's maybe if we take this back. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. So another thing that's fun to do with these random samples, sometimes you can find like a nice loop out, and I have gotten some really cool results, is just using a really old feature that's been around forever, I think since Ableton 9, and it's slice to new MIDI track, right? So if we click on this, this is going to grab that slice, look for all the transients, slice it up onto different pieces, and then load it into a drum rack. And now if we switch over here, right, we can kind of use just parts of it like a drum kit or something like that. All right, so I just recorded something real loose. Let's talk about some more MIDI transformative tools. So if you noticed, I played this off time on purpose. But this is a good opportunity to go to our MIDI transformative tools, and let's look at our traditional Quantize. So,
Can you flip back over to the...
yeah, sorry, good, thank you. That's not it. There we go. All right, so if we take a look at, this is what I just played. I'm going to switch over here and go to our Quantize tab. Shift Command U is the shortcut, by the way. So the big improvement, like you used to be able to quantize stuff, but now like as you crank this knob, you can kind of see like what direction and how much the stuff is moving, and just the ability to kind of see how the amount is affecting the notes in real time, and in what direction, I think is pretty huge. Let's hear if that makes any sense musically. Not really, but that's okay. And maybe we'll pitch this. It sounds better kind of pitched down, and we'll crank, give it some reverb, make it a little bit more, I don't know, a little eviler sounding or something, if we're going for something darker. Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. And so I've had some good results. You can see I've done like a lot of generations in this thing, and you'll find just it's all very abstract and weird, which I think is awesome with this text to sample. So another quick thing I just want to demo really fast. So what Yuta mentioned was I think my favorite Max for Live sequencer, and that is called Sting. And just like the quick demo of it didn't quite give it enough justice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over to the push for a second. The fun thing that you can do with Sting is when you have it selected, let's go here to Sting and get in there. And there's an option to go to push takeover mode. So now this is something that I actually use live that actually works on the Push 3 standalone without the computer. So it turns the sequencer into something that's very performative and playable. And you can kind of hear the, so how it works is this top row of pads chooses the type of pattern it's generating. Slightly different flavor pad, right? I can transpose it down, transpose it up. If I want it less busy or less dense, this button here will just take away a lot of the notes versus 16 notes, right? And we can make it. And another fun thing you can do if we want to change the step length, if we don't want it to be just 16 steps, we can just make it 3, right? So that's another thing that's easy to do, like in the modular world, is polyrhythms. That's not often, it's executable in Ableton, but it's not really set up for polyrhythms, like having triplets or having things be 5 notes or 7 or 9 or 13. And it just really gives you a lot, it opens up to the doors of a lot more rhythms that you normally wouldn't land on if we just make a clip and start drawing stuff in, or if we try to record onto a clip. So, yeah, I think the triplet on this sounds really cool, right? And now let's try it. Now it's 6 steps. Back to 16, now back to 3. And then boom, right? And now you could just jam out. I could spend all night just jamming with that sequencer. And it's a lot of fun to do live, and it's a lot of fun to capture in the studio as well, right? If I wanted to capture this, I could just make a new MIDI track, set the MIDI input to be track 5, post effects. So now anything that it spits out is going to get captured as a MIDI clip over here. Right? On the wrong track. Here we go. We could just jam out all day, and all that just got captured. Now we can go back and find the best parts of it, take it back in and chop it up, and then start to sequence it out into an actual track.
So the top row where you basically have 16 different patterns, where.
I'll go back here, sorry.
Yeah, so those yellow keys, you have 16 different patterns. If you go back to like the same one, it's always going to be the same pattern.
Yeah, so let me flip back to the laptop for a second. So what the top row is adjusting is the sequence type. Right now it's on the acid type. As I flip it, you'll see all the way to the left is random. And then there's a bunch of variations of random, and then some variations of acid, and a bunch of, I'm not sure exactly what all the ones in the middle represent, but it changes like the theme or the flavor of the pattern that it's generating.
So it won't necessarily be the exact same pattern if you like press the same button twice.
I don't, that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure on that. So here's, if you open up the editor, you can actually see what the pattern looks like. I'm gonna flip it, and then flip it back. Yeah, I think it stays the same when you change the type. It only will make a new pattern if you hit the new button on the push, or if you click on the smiley face, and then it'll spit out a new pattern for each of them.
Okay.
Cool. Question?
So I guess like the type is like they're like presets on that.
Yeah, the type is going to dictate the way that the notes get split out. It's just like when it's random, the notes are just kind of just tossed in there basically at random, while when you switch it to the acid mode, it's gonna, the patterns that it spits out, it's gonna be closer to a traditional acid 303 house kind of style based acid house, acid techno bass line. Yes, and the face just changes it, but the type changes the type of pattern that it's generating.
There's a part that says like from Manchester to
From
Manchester to Detroit.
exactly, the different types of acid flavors that you have to work with.
That's quite new, isn't it? Which was like a year old.
So yeah, Sting 2 just came out. The updated version came out just this year. And it's free. You can't really beat the price. How are we doing on time?
You need like 5 or 6 minutes, is that cool?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
All right, let me just make sure I'm covering the things that I wanted to cover. Any other questions, you guys, on any of this stuff so far?
You said the push is your main sequencer when you're forming live?
Yes. Yeah, so in standalone mode, like what I'm able to do with this is actually spit out MIDI and spit out modular CV controls. So I can trigger my modular drums or modular synth voices, or also do modular modulation, all from inside the push. There's a feature set called CV Tools, which is a pack that's been around since like Ableton 10, I believe. And what they've done is they built a bunch of in-house devices that make it really easy to interface Ableton with modular equipment. So, and in the modular, you're just basically sending voltage messages out from point A to point B. So you can use it for triggering drums or controlling pitch, modulation, all that stuff. And all the CV tools that you see here in the pack also work inside the push tree standalone. Question?
What does the fight knob do when you're
Oh, so what that is, it's actually an Ableton preset, an Ableton audio effect rack preset that I think it's this one. Yeah, so if you guys probably all have it. If you search for glitch, you might or might not have this. Glitch, IDM, face off. And if we show in places, so this is part of a third-party Ableton pack called the Pure Magnetic Effect Rack, which I believe is not, it's not free. You can get it from the Ableton websites. One of the perks of being an Ableton certified trainer is they give us access to all the packs on all the packs that are available for purchase on the Ableton website. But let's take a listen to what's up.
I said, lucky for us, you're gonna share.
Yeah. So like, what does it do? It's just like a crazy glitch thing. Let me put it like, let's drop this on the master track, just so we can more easily hear it, what it's doing. And turn off this filter. So here's the fight knob. Just like and you can kind of see like the potential, like it's for being able to just like play it live. You really like look like you're doing a lot more than you actually are. The key is to put yourself into it. You know, like to really sell going back to lesson 1, it's all about selling the visual. Like, if you go up there and just hit play, you might have the craziest stuff set up, but if it doesn't look like you're actually doing anything up there, it's not as exciting for the people who are trying to watch it or experience it. So that's another, going back to why there's so many modules and things. It's because people like to see you actually doing stuff, and it's easier to look like you're doing stuff if there's actual knobs you're turning and fingers versus just hitting play or just DJing, which I do too much of, but so yeah.
first tool of fight knob is we do not talk about.
Fight knob, yes. Cool. Yeah, so I'll just show you one more cool thing that's kind of interesting. And if anyone's interested in this rack, I'll send it in a link to be able to download it in the chat. One thing that I was kind of proud of is a device that was mentioned by Chuck. I think you were talking about the kilohertz transgate.
Yeah.
So like, there's not really like a stock Ableton device that could do these different patterns as quickly and easily. So I kind of built my own, just using an audio effect rack and a shaper device, and I mapped the shaper out to a utility. So I have a bunch of chains, and then each of these has a different shaper mapped to a gain. So then when I turn the transgate selector, it goes through and it selects a different chain. So I can kind of get some of my favorite transgate patterns that are not just linear. And you could actually, it can go even beyond what the transgate can do with the shaper because you have a lot more flexibility in actually editing the shapes. I have one knob which just turns the amount as far as how far it's going down, and another one that chooses the shape. Right, you can kind of hear that chop action happening. And if we change it, put some washout after it, you really, it now sounds like we got something interesting happening, right? Yeah, especially like that's in the modular world, it's easy to have like a random noisy kind of ambient sound that you can generate that just spits out a bunch of tone. But then if you take that and then now give it some rhythm and in sync with everything else, now it's like you got like a groove going on instead of just the sound. So that's a big reason why I kind of made that, was just so I can take like something really long or washed out and just give it groove, the rhythm. So. But it's fun to just use in the studio as well, not just for live. Cool. Any other questions?
I see you have like an Elrow sticker on your laptop.
Yeah.
Did you play Elrow?
I haven't played at Elrow, but I kind of work with the Elrow production team. So like you'll see me at a lot of the Elrow US, like helping with the characters and performers and stuff like that. No, I haven't been to the one in Ibiza yet, so.
What about the one in New York?
I've been to New York, Chicago, Miami. They did one in DC. Been one in Vegas and stuff like that, but never pretty much all the US ones.
Did you go to the 2017 one at Easy New York?
No, that was before I was working with them. So yeah, Elrow was a blast.
Any last question?
Where did you perform in Dayton?
It was a random place called Bar Granada, like on the river.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah. I did there was like some of the footage. This was the setup, because there's 3 of us that did like modular, actually 4 live performers were at that show.
Damn, I wish I knew about that. I've been there.
Maybe they'll do it again. We'll see. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. It was fun. All right. Thank you guys.